Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, May 13th, 2021. And we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. It's been a very, very busy day. I just finished doing an interview on the Manish Live show. So it's been crazy. But we have a very busy show today. We have a very jam-packed show for you today. So there was a story from San Francisco from a few days ago that I saw and did not get a chance to talk about it. And Mayor London Breeze in San Francisco made an announcement that African-American owned businesses in San Francisco will get $3.75 million from the San Francisco police budget. And this deals with the reallocation of resources. And a lot of people have been talking about different things like this and reducing the responsibilities of police officers, reallocating resources to community organizations, mental health, education, to address a lot of the issues in the community, especially the African American community. And this is an example of this. TheGrio.com has an article about this, and then also I saw one from Yahoo News.com as well. Black businesses to get $3.75 million from San Francisco police budget. Okay, so we'll discuss that. And then April 30th was the anniversary of the Bristol Bus Boycott in 1963, April 30th, 1963. The Bristol Bus Boycott, which was inspired by the Montgomery Bus Boycott of December 1955. A lot of people have not heard of the Bristol Bus Boycott in London, England, that began April 30th, 1963. So we're going to talk some about that history. And there's an article from AtlantaBlackStar.com called "How Steel Sharpens Steel." How Steel Sharpens Steel. And this article from Atlanta Black Star is from a few years ago, but it deals with how the civil rights movement was happening concurrently at the same time as the African liberation movement was taking place on the continent of Africa. And various African American nations, starting with Ghana in 1957, they were breaking free. They were gaining their independence from their European colonizers. And the African nations were learning from the civil rights movement taking place in this country, and they were inspired by it. And we, in turn, were inspired by the African liberation movement on the continent of Africa and learning from them as well. In 1957, when Ghana wins its independence from Great Britain, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. goes to Ghana for their celebration. He goes to be with Kwame Nkrumah. And Dr. King went back to Ghana each year on the anniversary of their independence. Okay, a lot of people don't know about this. So it wasn't just Malcolm X that met Kwame Nkrumah. Also, Dr. King did. All right. So we'll talk about the Bristol Bus Boycott, inspired of the Bristol Bus Boycott of 1963, inspired by the Montgomery Bus Boycott of 1955. And then also May 13th, today is May 13th. So May 13th, 1891 is when Isaac Burns Murphy became the first three-time winner of the Kentucky Derby. Isaac Burns Murphy became the first three-time winner of the Kentucky Derby. Okay. So, I did, let's see, a couple Sundays ago, I did on our show, we talked about the history of African American jockeys and how African American jockeys used to dominate horse racing. And the first Kentucky Derby was ran in 1875. We know this is Kentucky. We know this is Triple Crown season. Okay. So the Triple Crown consists of 3 races: the Kentucky Derby, which is the first race. The second race is the Preakness. And the third race is called the Belmont Stakes. All right. These are the 3 races that are in the Triple Crown. Well, the first Kentucky Derby was ran in 1875, and the winner was Oliver Lewis, who was 19 years old, 19-year-old African-American man, Oliver Lewis. And we used to dominate horse racing, okay? So, I did an extensive show a couple Sundays ago dealing with this, and we have a re-airing here on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep. But May 13th, 1891, Isaac Burns Murphy became the first jockey to win the Kentucky Derby 3 times. All right. So we'll talk some about Isaac Burns Murphy as well. All right. Now, on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. See, I remember relationships this time. Sometimes I forget relationships. Relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828. To sign up for our email newsletter, text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828. To sign up for our email newsletter, also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Sign up for our email newsletter there as well. Okay. If you'd like this type of information, you can support the African History Network. We definitely need your support. $ the AHN show through Cash App. $ the AHN show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN show, paypal.me / the AHN show. When you do it through Cash App, be sure to type in $ the AHN show, SHOW, and it'll say Michael, and it'll show my picture there. And we're here 6 days a week, so this helps us keep broadcasting, keep doing the research, stay on the air, pay some of the bills, etc. You can my online course I teach on Saturdays, Saturdays 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a new section that just started up: Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understand the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, one of the original names for Egypt. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. This is a 9-week online course that I teach. We deal with thousands of years of history and what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We do the classes live, okay? All the sessions are recorded. So if you miss anything, you can go back and watch it. You don't have to worry about breaking your neck to get home to watch the online course, okay? If you're on live, there's a live text chat so you can ask questions. You can see me. I can't see you. You can be in your pajamas. You don't have to do your hair or anything like that. You don't have to worry about that, okay? I have to do my hair, but you don't have to do your hair, okay? So I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. We deal with thousands of years of history. We deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors and what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. So as soon as you register, you can start watching the content. Next class is Saturday, May 15th, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch from around the world. Also, I taught the class back in February and March of 2021. You can watch those sessions as well. It's regularly $130, on sale $80. We just posted the link here. And it's also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, we're up against a break. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation and Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. For 25 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid El-Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, and he is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social studies, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the change makers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. For more information, please contact Dr. Khalid El-Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197, or visit their website at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. That's blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. You can also email him at bhistory101@yahoo.com, bhistory101@yahoo.com.
Gain knowledge in minutes from insightful summaries of progressive and socially conscious books. Blacklisted gives you access to curated content that'll satisfy your curiosity to learn and understand different perspectives. Empower yourself through inspirational and actionable ideas. It's easy to read or listen to on the go. Blacklisted. Empower yourself. Start your free trial today.
Are you getting ready for fall or winter? We have the solution for all seasonal clothing needs. Kemeticwear.com is the go-to online source for Kemetic African fashion and lifestyle products with a contemporary twist. We're committed to offering unique styles reflecting our African heritage. Kemeticwear.com is inspired by KemeticScribes.com to influence our people in learning and showing pride. Please visit our website at Kemeticwear.com.
We all know the cannabis industry is headed toward an uprise in the past decade. What happens when there is a brand that brings this uprise in a blow? The cannabis industry welcomes her uprise. Hustle her hemp. Delivering excellence with pride is her watchword, and how you choose to embrace it makes it a priority. From cultivating rich cannabis into exquisite and tastefully finished CBD products to delivery, Hustle Her Hemp leaves no stone unturned. Hustle Her Hemp's mission is to empower women of color by building business and creating legacies, uniting beauty, health, and business. We are a pure definition of how we want the CBD industry to become in the future. While we are redefining innovation, we bring the same energy to improving the quality of life. Hustle Her Hemp is the new uprise.
Hi, I'm Joel Wilson, President and CEO of JCW Computer Consulting LLC, a technology implementation firm with over 20 years of satisfying customers. We offer a full spectrum of industry top-tier branded services. We are an authorized partner or reseller for Lenovo, Zoom, T-Mobile, Microsoft 365 and Surface tablets, Google Workspace, Acer, Asus, Samsung, PCmatic security software, and many more. Our online store features laptops, Chromebooks, computers, printers, accessories, and software. Businesses, take advantage of our free 1-hour Zoom tech consultation and know we offer top nationwide high-speed internet service providers, voice over IP, and cellular phone services. Home users, don't miss our current in-stock Chromebook inventory. Please visit us at jcwcc.com or call 215-879-6701.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, Superstation of Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, May 13th, 2021. So it's been very busy, and I'm preparing to do, I'm on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday. So check me out there. I was on a Marnice live show today, before coming on the air here. And I'm preparing for my online course that I teach on Saturday. I'm getting ready for that also. So it's been hectic. All right. I want to jump into this first story here. This comes out of San Francisco. I saw this story a few days ago and did not get a chance to talk about it. TheGrio.com has an article dealing with this. San Francisco to reinvest $3.75 million from police budget into black businesses. And, you know, you have different things like this happening in cities where you have progressive mayors. All right. And I think there needs to be a list of like best practices, something the Biden administration could put together, a list of best practices, look at what different cities are doing. And that can become a model. And maybe everything every city can't do. You have different size cities, different size budgets. There are approximately 18,500 police departments across the country. Different police departments have different budgets. Some police departments are underfunded. Some police departments are overfunded. All right. But this is an interesting article here from thegrio.com. We have to invest our resources in a way that lifts up and supports African American small business owners. All right. So the city of San Francisco has announced a plan to redirect $3.75 million from its police budget to African American owned businesses. Now, Mayor London Breed, African American female mayor, Mayor London Breed made this announcement in a statement on Wednesday, May 5th, 2021, saying, quote, across this country and in our city, we've seen how the black community's economic growth and prosperity has historically been disrupted and marginalized, Okay. And I definitely agree with that. And we saw that with the expressways that ran through our communities. All right. The U.S. Interstate Highway Acts in 1952 and in 1956 drove about 41,000 miles of U.S. interstate highways all across the country. And it ran through about 1,600 African-American communities. And it ran through Black Bottom and Paradise Valley here in Detroit. And this where and I-375 is where Black Bottom used to be. Interstate Highway I-375. So we've seen that here in Detroit. Now, Mayor London Breed went on to say this funding is part of our efforts to undo the harm of generations of disinvestment and economic inequities. Maybe I think she's talking about systemic racism, because some Republicans don't think systemic racism exists, like Senator Lindsey Graham. Some of them don't think systemic racism exists. And they don't want to teach about it, so they're trying to shut down critical race theory, and they're trying to shut down the 1619 Project. They don't want that taught in schools because they don't want to talk about systemic racism and white supremacy, things like that in schools. We just saw the bill that Governor Oklahoma passed. There's an article from news1.com dealing with that. So we have these attacks taking place all across the country. We're not just dealing with COVID. We're not just dealing with COVID-19. We're dealing with a virus called white supremacy and stupidity. We're dealing with that. We're dealing with a virus called racism. Now, Mayor London Breed went on to say, as we work to recover and make San Francisco a better place to live, work, and do business, we have to invest our resources in a way that lifts up and supports African American small businesses. Okay. Can Mayor London Breed talk to Mayor Mike Duggan? I ain't trying to start anything. I'm just asking. I'm not trying to start something. I'm just saying, I'm not Michael Jackson. I ain't trying to, want to be starting something. I mean, I'm just saying, can she talk to, So Mayor London Breed said, we have to invest our resources in a way that lifts up and supports African-American small business owners, entrepreneurs, and the entire community. Okay, Mayor London Breed said. Here's a picture of Mayor London Breed. Okay, we need more mayors like this. Definitely. Now, the initiative will be an investment by the Office of Economic and Workforce Development, and is also part of the city's Dream Keeper initiative. Now, the other thing, I remember Dr. Claude Anderson talk about this. Dr. Claude Anderson is one of my teachers, right? I remember Anderson talking about this. This is years ago. I can't even remember who the mayor was at the time, but it's maybe about 10, I think it's maybe about 15 years ago, when he was trying to do something with city council. And he said, they told him that they have a office something of like minority affairs or something like that. And he was like, why do you have an office of minority affairs in a city that's 90% black? He said, you don't need an office of minority affairs. We're the majority population in the city. Why do you need an office of minority affairs? It's but so the initiative will be an investment by the Office of Economic and Workforce Development, and is also a part of the city's Dream Keeper initiative. Now, 17 Black serving community organizations will receive funding, quote, to provide services and achieve improved economic development outcomes for African-American businesses, entrepreneurs, and the African-American and Black communities in San Francisco more broadly. Investments focus on helping African-American small businesses and entrepreneurs in San Francisco start, stabilize, or grow their businesses. Start, stabilize, or grow their businesses. And see, oftentimes I hear people, now I taught entrepreneurship for 7 years. My degree is in business administration with a major in marketing from Wayne State University here in Detroit. I taught entrepreneurship for 7 years. I managed African-American owned companies, and we had government contracts with the city of Detroit and the county of Wayne and state of Michigan, things like this, right? And oftentimes I hear people say, we need more Black businesses. We need more Black businesses, right? So they'll talk about starting a business, but not staying in business. They'll talk about starting a business, but not staying in business, and being able to grow an African-American owned business. But the business needs support from the community to stay in business and be able to grow. Okay? Otherwise, you're just going to have a grand opening and a grand closing. This is what's going to happen. Otherwise, you're going to just have a grand opening and a grand closing. 313-778-7600 is the calling number. If you have a question or comment, 313-778-7600 is the calling number. If you have a question or comment. Okay. So, for years, I heard people say, we need more Black businesses. We need more Black businesses. Then it went up to about 4 million. We were at like about 1.7 million in about 2007, 2008, something like that from the U.S. Census Bureau. Then it goes to like 2.6 million African-American owned businesses. Okay. 2.6 million. And then about 2015, 2016, it got to about 4 million. Okay. African-American owned businesses. All right. Now, as of April 2020, because of COVID-19, we lost 41% of African-American owned businesses. Now I think we lost about 50% of our businesses. And that's Forbes.com had a big article dealing with this from August of 2021, Forbes.com had a big article, and this was based upon the research from the New York Federal Reserve. Okay, we'll go to the phone lines in just a minute. This article here is, check this article out from Forbes.com. The COVID-19 crisis has wiped out nearly half of Black small businesses. The COVID-19 crisis has wiped out nearly half of small Black businesses. Now, this is from August 10th, 2020, but it's looking at April 2020. Okay, well, that's a little more than a year ago. I think we've lost at least half of African-American owned businesses because of the COVID economy. All right. So what happens is, you know, in addition to saying we need more businesses, we also have to talk about directing a certain percentage of the money we spend each month with businesses, directing at least 10% to African-American owned businesses to sustain them. Because a lot of times people say we need more businesses, we need to start businesses, but they don't talk about the need to support our businesses so they stay in business. Okay. Otherwise, you have a grand opening and a grand closing. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Norman, line 1. Norman, welcome to the African History Network show. Thanks for holding. Tell us where you're calling from.
Hey, I'm calling from Florida. Okay.
You calling from Florida?
I don't know if
Did you say Florida? Yeah. Okay, Florida. Go ahead.
Yeah, Tampa. I'm wondering if you had made the observation that on May 13th, 1888 is the very date that Prince Isabel Braga ended slavery in Brazil.
In 1888?
1888.
Yeah.
That's when, here's the thing. Slavery, it took another 70 years that slavery ended Brazil. So slavery continued in Brazil up until the 1930s. Well, you can't say much different from this country, that the same thing would happen. But the significance is that you see that the entire Brazilian economy was built upon African slavery. And when you go to Brazil, there's a festival that I went to with a group of Black pharmacists. It was called the Festival de Boa Morte. It's like
what was the name of that festival again? What's the name of the festival again?
It's called Festival de Boa Morte.
Okay.
It's in Bahia State. It's in Guaxeira, Brazil. And about maybe 70 of us went to this beautiful festival, man. It's like incredible, you know. And it was put on by the Brazilian women. It's called, the word means the Festival of the Good Death. And the good death is slavery. And they have a lot of prayers, and they even have an anthem that they sing on stage. It's real beautiful and stuff. And this is a group of pharmacists from Texas Southern, and graduated from Florida A&M University. They're led by a woman by the name of Glenn Washington. Who
Did you say Glenn?
What
was her first name? Gwen. G-W-E-N.
Gwen Washington. You can even go to this. It's called Gwen's Elite Travels.
Okay.
And actually, she graduated from FAMU, but she has this travel company that takes professional people. We've been all over the world. I mean, I went to Greece, England, Spain, where the Moors are. Man, you should see that. The Moors, Panama, South Africa we went, and stuff. And so all over where Black people are. Canada, where Black folk in Canada,
Nova Scotia.
That was interesting.
Yeah, Nova Scotia
is that
in Canada.
Nova
Scotia.
Nova Scotia, and also down there in Lake Erie, where Black folk ran the Erie Canal And they don't tell you that black folk were used because there was so much tension between the Polish and the Irish that black folk were selected as administrators to settle fights and scores, and they settle disagreements because they trusted black people to do this thing. There's an interesting museum up near Niagara Falls that talks about this.
Okay.
And we went to one of the most interesting places I was actually in St. Augustine, Florida. There's a whole museum called Fort Mosaic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, the point is that I wanted to just to bring that up and you can give her a call sometimes. Gwen's Elite Travels.
Okay.
But there's you would really, we get back traveling again, man, you really enjoy going all over the world with this group of black. It's just not just pharmacists, man. You can really travel. Really, when we travel, it's about a black consciousness and stuff. So I wanted to bring this up, man, because it's Festival de Boa Morte, the Festival of the Good Death.
Right.
And it's such beautiful. It's put on by the African women there. And when you go to Brazil, man, Brazil is one of the few places like the Bahia State up there in Salvador. And man, you will see, if you want to see your body double, go to Brazil, man. I know I saw you there, brother. You know, no. I saw Roland Martin there, you know,
right.
The body double. I saw the boys from Detroit there, Roscoe Thomas. When I saw him, I know it was in some place.
Right.
But Brazil, man, you go there, and the only difference between those folks in here is that, you know, when you open your mouth, it's the only time people are going to know you from a different place.
Right.
I mean, you will fall right on in. And oftentimes you hear about people going to Brazil, you know, to Rio and all those places, you know, to have all kind of pleasures.
Right.
But the Bahia State, you can go for quite a bit of education. In fact, we went to a Quilombo, and people don't talk about the Quilombo Kandazi and how that formed to liberate black people and how it played an important role for black folk in the entire South America. These are people who broke away from the Portuguese plantation, formed their own cities.
Yeah, like Maroons.
And stuff like that. And
yeah,
they're
they were
still
like
there
Maroons.
today.
Yeah.
There's one called Quilombo Cantanga and Zumbi.
Right.
About people and how the effect that had a massive effect on black folk here in this country and stuff, because these people were in communication with each other. Don't let anybody fool you. Because my folks are from Barbados, man.
Okay.
My grandparents were Barbados, and they knew exactly what was going on. Every one of those islands, there was messages sent. This is what's happening here. This is what's happening there. Even up in Louisiana, so people think that we didn't communicate and stuff.
Okay.
And we were all
right, Norman. Hey,
thank you I'm running
out of time. I got to get this other information in, but call back tomorrow night, okay?
And read my blog, youarewithinthenorms.com. That's all.
What's the name of it?
It's a blog called You Are Within the Norms.com, and it deals with the racism, systemic racism of the drug wars. You are within the norms.com, and how black professionals and black people are being targeted with the drug wars, and how this is a war of systemic racism. You want to talk about the basic racism, you have to talk about a war, so-called war on drugs, which is a war on exterminating and controlling the minds of black people.
All right, Norman. Thanks for the call. Keep listening, Norman.
Right, thank you so much.
No problem.
You bet.
All right. Okay, so Norman shared some good information there, and it reminds me of the first time I went to Brooklyn, and I saw brothers in Brooklyn, and I went to speak to them, and they're speaking Spanish, and it blew my mind because they're from, they're from Colombia, and they're from Honduras and different Spanish-speaking countries. They're Afro-Latino, okay? They're Afro-Latino, but they just look like brothers. It's just like everyday brothers until they open their mouth and they're speaking Spanish. The first time I went to Brooklyn, it was about 10 years ago. First time I went to Brooklyn, I saw this, and it totally blew my mind, right? And it, like, being in Brooklyn, it looked like the United Nations, because on people's cars, some people would have the flag of the nation that they were from. Okay. So it's a different experience there, being in Brooklyn. I liked it, but and you saw Haitians, Trinidadians, all African people, okay, but from different nations. Okay, I want to go back to this article here from TheGriot.com. This is dealing with African American owned businesses in San Francisco to get $3.75 million from the San Francisco police budget. Mayor London Breed made this announcement on May 5th, 2021. And then next we'll talk about Isaac Burns Murphy, and he won his third Kentucky Derby on this date in 1891. We'll talk about that in just a minute here. Now, Cheryl Davis, executive director of the San Francisco Human Rights Commission, said this funding represents an investment in the community and addressing the wealth and opportunity gaps created by years of biased policies and approaches. Okay. Sounds like she's talking about systemic racism. Okay. Or racism in general. I mean, racism is systemic by nature. Racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race, which comes out of the ideology of European white supremacy. Now, she said there is tremendous talent and potential that has been stifled by our biased policies and strategies. Through this, by our biased policies and strategies, through this process, we will see the implementation of creative and innovative programs that have the potential to support and benefit all of San Francisco and not just the Black community, she continued. Okay. Now, hopefully we get our share based upon our percentage of the population in San Francisco, at least. Okay. At least that, hopefully more, because we need it more than the other communities. We need more than many other communities need it. Now, the Dream Keeper Initiative was created in 2020 in the wake of the murder of George Floyd by former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. Now, it is part of a larger plan to redirect resources from the San Francisco Police Department to support the city's African American community. Okay, it's part of a larger plan to redirect resources from the San Francisco Police Department to support the city's African American community. So we need more things like this to take place in different cities. It's not just the federal government. Okay. A lot of times people just look at the federal government and act like you don't have state government, you don't have county government, you don't have city government. Yes, you want to put pressure on the White House, the House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate to get bills passed and things like this. Yes, but a lot of times people act like state legislature, governor doesn't exist. City council, mayors don't exist. You put pressure on them as well. There are things at the local level that can happen also. This is an example of that. Okay. All right. So check out this article from TheGriot.com. San Francisco to reinvest $3.75 million budget. San Francisco to reinvest $3.75 million from police budget into Black businesses. Okay. That's from TheGriot.com, May 6, 2021. And next, we're going to go to clip one here, Shachita. May 13th, 1891, Isaac Murphy Burns wins his third Kentucky Derby. Okay. Now, he's an African-American jockey during the 19th century and is one of the greatest jockeys of all time. He was the first jockey to win the Kentucky Derby 3 times. Not the first African-American jockey. He was the first jockey, period, to win the Kentucky Derby 3 times. Okay. There's an article from BET.com that talks about Isaac Murphy. And also, we talked about him a couple Sundays ago when we dealt with the history of black jockeys and horse racing and winning the Kentucky Derby, things like this. Here's a picture of Isaac Murphy. This day in history, May 13th, 1891, Isaac Burns Murphy became the first 3-time winner of the Kentucky Derby. Now, the Kentucky Derby is the first of 3 races that make up what's known as the Triple Crown. The Kentucky Derby, the Triple Crown is made up of the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont Stakes. We know Medina Spirit won the Kentucky Derby a couple weeks ago. There's controversy. We'll see what's going to happen with Medina Spirit. Now, Medina Spirit, like I said before, Medina Spirit should not be confused with Funky Cold Medina, okay, that will lift your spirit. Those are 2 different things, all right? I don't want people to be confused. Now, Isaac Burns Murphy was a 3-time winner of the Kentucky Derby. The Bluegrass State native also is the first jockey to achieve that distinction when he did it on May 13th, 1891. Born Isaac Burns on April 16th, 1861. Now, he's born the same year. He was actually born 4 years. He's actually born 4 days after the Civil War started, which started April 12th, 1861. He was born 4 days after the Civil War started. He was born in Frankfort, Kentucky. And Isaac Murphy was, during his time, considered the prince of jockeys. He began racing at age 14. And in 1876, he added Murphy. So he began racing as I. Burns, first initial I. Burns. In 1876, he added Murphy to his name to honor the grandfather who helped raise him after his father died. Now, Isaac Burns Murphy was the first jockey to be inducted into the National Museum of Racing's Hall of Fame in 1956, and is just one of 2 African-American jockeys to receive the honor. He was at the time the nation's highest paid jockey, earning nearly $20,000 annually when at his peak. But Isaac Burns Murphy also battled with alcoholism and weight gain and was suspended in 1895 for intoxication. He died of pneumonia in 1896. I want to go to this clip here. This is courtesy Emory University. And this deals with some of the history of Isaac Burns Murphy and his tragic decline as well. Let's go to this clip, Shakita.
Isaac Murphy is probably one of the most underrated jockeys still. Some will, elevate him as one of the greatest jockeys ever because he won 3 Kentucky Derbies. But no one really talks about his intellect, how he won the races. I believe that his mother had intended him to just become very educated and move on in his life and use his education to his advantage, maybe go to college, maybe move on to a different location. But his mother gets sick around 1873, and the Freedmen's Bank fails, and so she loses everything in Freedmen's Bank. And I think she had the foresight to believe that if she doesn't get him positioned before she dies, he's going to be orphaned. And if he's orphaned, anything can happen. And so he gets apprenticed off to a few gentlemen, Owens and Williams. And they have him as an apprentice jockey. And it just so happens that the head trainer, Eli Jordan, is a friend of the family's. And Eli Jordan helps train Isaac Murphy in the ways of becoming a jockey. He was very successful. He was able to maintain this career from around 1874 to 1894. He had a 44% winning rate as a jockey, meaning that, 4 out of 10 races he would win. He was smart. He was very smart. And then, he changes the game. He changes horse racing, and then people catch up to him because they study him. And the ones that beat him are the other black jockeys. They study their mentor. Isaac Murphy, at the end of his career, was accused of being drunk in the saddle. And in fact, my research, I found the smoking gun. He was poisoned. Gamblers and other jockeys apparently plotted against him. When he was identified as being a drunk jockey, the spectators, the owners, they use that against him. So he dies in 1896, and he disappears from history, basically. And so that began this quest of finding Isaac Murphy.
All right, pause it right there. Pause it right there. Okay. All right, thank you. And that was Pelham McDaniels. Pelham McDaniels, Emory University faculty curator of African American collections that you heard there talking about Isaac Burns Murphy. And Pelham, P-E-L-L-O-M, Pelham McDaniels is the author of the book, The Prince of Jockeys, The Life of Isaac Burns Murphy. The Prince of Jockeys, The Life of Isaac Burns Murphy. Okay. And that's courtesy Emory University. Now, also, there was an article from May 8th, 2021 from WHAS Channel 11, ABC affiliate, WHAS 11.com. Churchill Downs renames Derby Week race after legendary black jockey Isaac Murphy. Churchill Downs renames Derby Week race after legendary black jockey Isaac Murphy. Now, 9:10 a.m. the Superstation is carrying all of the races of the Triple Crown. They carried the Kentucky Derby a couple Saturdays ago. They're carrying the Preakness, which is this Saturday. Let me know the time, Shakita. Send me the text of the time. And then also they're going to carry the Belmont Stakes, which is the third of the Triple Crown races. Okay, so you can listen to that right here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Listen live. Churchill Downs renames Derby Week race after legendary black jockey Isaac Murphy. The horse racing giant will rename a Derby Week race in the three-time Kentucky Derby winner's honor. Okay. So officials with Churchill Downs Racetrack, this is where the Kentucky Derby is ran, Churchill Downs. Officials with the Churchill Downs Racetrack are honoring a legendary African-American jockey during Derby Week. Isaac Murphy, who was the first back-to-back and three-time winner of the Kentucky Derby, will have a Derby Week Stakes race renamed after his honor. The $120,000 Isaac Murphy Marathon will take place on Champions Day on April 27th. The 1.5 mile endurance race for horses age 4 and up was previously known as the Champions Day Marathon. Okay. Churchill Downs strongly believes in preserving and sharing the stories of African-American jockeys who are an integral part of the legacy of the Kentucky Derby, Churchill Downs Racetrack President Mike Anderson said. So check out the rest of this article here from WHAS11ABC.com. We're out of time here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. We'll be back tomorrow. Those watching on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, keep watching. We'll keep broadcasting for a few more minutes. Remember, right now is correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace. All right, stand by, everybody. Stand by. How's everybody doing? Okay. Share this information on your Facebook, on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. You can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. When you do it through Cash App, be sure to type in $ the AHN Show, SHOW, $ the AHN Show, SHOW. Be sure to type the full thing in, because somebody set up a fake African History Network Cash App account, and theirs is the AHN Show, SHO, and they use my logo. So I had to report them to Cash App. So I'm trying to follow up on that. So be sure to type in the AHN Show, SHOW, and it'll say Michael, and it'll show my picture there. Okay. Or you can do it through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. That helps us keep doing the research and stay on the air, keep broadcasting. You can register for the online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And we teach that Saturdays, 9 p.m. to 11 p. 9 p. Sorry, 2 p.m. Sorry, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a 9-week online course that I teach. It's about 18 hours total. And we do it thousands of years of history and what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We just posted the link here. It's also on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. So you can register for that. As soon as you register, you can start watching the content. You'll be ready for Saturday's class. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll discuss the Bristol Bus Boycott of 1963. This is in London, England. A Bristol Bus Boycott of 1963, April 30th, 1963. It was inspired by the Montgomery Bus Boycott. All right. All right. You're watching the African History Network show. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Gain knowledge in minutes from insightful summaries of progressive and socially conscious books. Blacklisted gives you access to curated content that'll satisfy your curiosity to learn and understand different perspectives. Empower yourself through inspirational and actionable ideas. It's easy to read or listen to on the go. Blacklisted. Empower yourself. Start your free trial today.
Are you getting ready for fall or winter? We have the solution for all seasonal clothing needs. KemeticWear.com is the go-to online source for Kemetic African fashion and lifestyle products with a contemporary twist. We're committed to offering unique styles reflecting our African heritage. KemeticWear.com is inspired by KemeticScribes.com to influence our people in learning and showing pride. Please visit our website at KemeticWear.com.
We all know the cannabis industry is headed toward an uprise in the past decade. What happens when there is a brand that brings this uprise in a blow? The cannabis industry welcomes her uprise. Hustle her hemp. Delivering excellence with pride is her watchword, and how you choose to embrace it makes it a priority. From cultivating rich cannabis into exquisite and tastefully finished CBD products to delivery, Hustle Her Hemp leaves no stone unturned. Hustle Her Hemp's mission is to empower women of color by building business and creating legacies, uniting beauty, health, and business. We are a pure definition of how we want the CBD industry to become in the future. While we are redefining innovation, we bring the same energy to improving the quality of life. Hustle Her Hemp is the new uprise.
Hi, I'm Joel Wilson, President and CEO of JCW Computer Consulting LLC, a technology implementation firm with over 20 years of satisfying customers. We offer a full spectrum of industry top-tier branded services. We are an authorized partner or reseller for Lenovo, Zoom, T-Mobile, Microsoft 365 and Surface tablets, Google Workspace, Acer, Asus, Samsung, PCmatic security software, and many more. Our online store features laptops, Chromebooks, computers, printers, accessories, and software. Businesses, take advantage of our free 1-hour Zoom tech consultation and know we offer top nationwide high-speed internet service providers, voice over IP, and cellular phone services. Home users, don't miss our current in-stock Chromebook inventory. Please visit us at jcwcc.com or call 215-879-6701.
All right, welcome back to the African History Network show. All right, I want to go to this last story here. So the Zen Education Project has a piece here, and they also blackpaths.org has a piece as well. This deals with the Bristol Bus Boycott of April 30th, 1963. Now, this is during the civil rights movement here in the U.S. and the African liberation movement on the continent of Africa. A lot of people are not familiar with this bus boycott. All right. So if we look at this here, on April 30th, 1963, the Bristol Bus Boycott began, inspired by the Montgomery Bus Boycott, which began December 5th, 1955, Monday morning, December 5th, 1955, the Montgomery Bus Boycott started. Inspired by the Montgomery Bus Boycott, a group of West Indians in Bristol, England, organized a boycott of the Bristol Omnibus Company for its refusal to employ black drivers for its buses. Okay, they boycotted the Omnibus Bristol Bus Company for their refusal to employ black drivers for its buses. Now, the boycott lasted 4 months until the company reversed its discriminatory hiring practice. Now, there's another article that they cite here from BBC.com. What's behind the Bristol Bus Boycott? What's behind the Bristol Bus Boycott? This is from August 27th, 2013, from BBC.com. And right here, this is a newspaper clipping showing students marching in Bristol in protest against a color bar on the buses, So this was in Bristol, England, that this boycott is taking place. Also, let me flip back over here to the one from Zen Education Project, because they show a plaque commemorating the boycott. Let's see here if we can. Let me zoom in on this. They show a plaque commemorating the boycott. Right here, the Bristol Bus Boycott 1963. Equality is written vertically on the left side, justice on the right side. Down here at the bottom, it says the campaign against racial discrimination. Now, this is in Bristol, England. The campaign against racial discrimination. All right. So I want to go to this article here from the BBC that they cited. What's behind the Bristol Bus Boycott? So 50 years have passed since campaigners overturned a ban on ethnic minorities working on Bristol's buses. Today, the boycott is largely forgotten, but it was a milestone in achieving equality. A spring afternoon in 1963, 18-year-old Guy Bailey arrived on time for his job interview. Bailey was well qualified for the post, but he would not be taken on because he was black. He's of African descent. He was black. He strolled up to the front desk. He told the receptionist why he was there. She looked at him. She said, "I don't think so," she said. She told him, "Talk to the hand." He said, "I'm here to apply for a job." She said, "No, I really don't think you are. You want to take that trash out?" He said, "You want to be a bus driver?" No, we have some trash you could take out. But no, we don't hire Negroes to drive our buses. Now, Bailey thought she must be mistaken. He said, "The name is Mr. Bailey," he told her. Right? Now, I wonder if he sounded like Sidney Poitier, and they call me Mr. Tibbs. He said, "Don't call me boy." Well, what do they call you then? They call me Mr. Tibbs. I wonder if he said it like Sidney Poitier said it. Okay. He said, the name is Mr. Bailey, right? So the receptionist stood and went to the manager's office. Bailey heard her call through the door. Your 2:00 appointment is here, and he's black. Did she whisper? He's black. Your 2:00 appointment here. Your 2:00 appointment is here, sir. He's black. So the manager shouted back from inside the room, "Tell him the vacancies are full." Right? Tell him the vacancies are full. So Guy Bailey protested. There was an advertisement for applications in the local paper only the day before. Just an hour ago, his friend had rung the same office and been told there were plenty of jobs, right? He said, wait a second. Just an hour ago, my friend rang the bell. Y'all told him that there were plenty of jobs. Now, what happened? All of a sudden, there were no vacancies. All of a sudden, there are no jobs. So, there's no point having an interview, said the manager, still in his office, refusing to come out and meet Guy Bailey's eyes. Didn't want to look him in the eye. We don't employ black people, the manager said. Now, encounters of this sort were then familiar in many parts of the world, like the United States. The newspapers were full of stories about the struggle against segregation in the deep South of the U.S., and there was also some segregation up north also. You remember Malcolm X said, anytime you're south of Canada, you're in the South. So there was discrimination up north. They just didn't have, no colors allowed signs in general up north. But you still had discrimination. Okay. Now, the newspapers were full of stories about the struggle against segregation in the deep South of the U.S. and the fight against apartheid in South Africa. But this wasn't Alabama or Mississippi. This wasn't Johannesburg or Pretoria. This was Bristol in England in 1963. Okay. Now, the manager who refused Guy Bailey a job was acting entirely within his rights based upon their laws. Half a century ago, it was legal in the UK to discriminate against someone because of the color of their skin. At the state-owned Bristol Omnibus Company, run by the local council, the color bar was an open secret. The color bar was an open secret. Despite the presence of an established Caribbean community in the city, no non-white driver or conductor had ever been employed on the network. Now, and see, you have to keep in mind, see, also, so Great Britain, right? Great Britain had Caribbean colonies, and you're going to have Africans from these different Caribbean colonies that are going to end up also in England. And you're also going to see this decades earlier. But after the War of 1812, some of the runaway slaves who ran away from the U.S. side to fight for the British, they're going to end up in different British colonies. Okay. So you're going to have this. And then after different wars, after the American Revolutionary War, you're going to have some Africans who, you're going to have, estimates are between 20,000 to as many as 100,000 runaway slaves are going to run away from the colonies, the British colonies, and go fight on behalf of the British in the American Revolution and fight against the 13 colonies. Because the British were the first ones to say, if you come fight for us, when this war is over, we'll set you free. Okay. They said, if you come fight for us, when this war is over, we'll set you free. So you're going to have some Africans who end up in England, who go into British colonies, things like this, after the war ends. Okay. So just a second here. Okay, so we'll continue. And then also you're going to have some who end up in Nova Scotia, Canada as well. I've been in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia has a population of people of African descent. Some of them are descended from runaway slaves who ran away from the U.S. and went to the British side during the War of 1812 and fought on behalf of the British, and then ended up in Nova Scotia, Canada. Now, let's go back to this article here. So at the state-owned Bristol Omnibus Company, run by the local council, the color bar was an open secret. Despite the presence of an established Caribbean community in the city, no non-white driver or conductor had ever been employed on the network. Now, the company's management acted with the connivance of the local branch of the trade union that represented bus crews. These were the days when workplace unrest was common, but on this issue, both sides of the industrial divide stood together against integration. But Guy Bailey's unsuccessful interview marked a turning point. Members of the local black community, supported by many of their white neighbors, led a boycott of the network in protest. Quite consciously, the campaigners imitated the nonviolent anti-racist crusade of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other American advocates of racial tolerance. The Bristol boycott was to prove a watershed moment. The campaigners maintained that their efforts directly led to the UK's first ever laws against race-based discrimination. Today, outside of Bristol, England, the story of the bus boycott is barely known, but to those who led it, this was the UK's own version of the civil rights movement that shook the American South. Well, the civil rights movement shook America in general, not just the American South. The majority of the civil rights movement was in the South, but it shook America in general. In 1960, Bristol's Caribbean community numbered about 3,000. Most had arrived from the Caribbean after World War II. The 1948 British Nationality Act meant they had British passports with full rights of entry and settlement to the UK. Now, many had served Queen and country. Nearly all, like Guy Bailey, had been schooled under the British education system. And at a time of virtually full employment, employers like London Transport and the National Health Service had actively sought their labor. But the reception they received from their fellow British subjects was frequently less than welcoming. The reception they received from their fellow British subjects was frequently less than welcoming. Now, Guy Bailey recalls the shock not long after he first came to Bristol in 1961, when he was chased by gangs of what are known as teddy boys, not teddy bears, but teddy boys, wielding bicycle chains, their blows landing on the back of his head as he ran. And there's also an article here from blackpast.org dealing with this as well. This is Yeah, outside of Bristol, England, you don't hear about this boycott a lot. And they were inspired by the Montgomery bus boycott. Okay. See, they were inspired by the Montgomery bus boycott. So this is why, this is so important. When you look at the article, How Steel Sharpens Steel from AtlantaBlackStar.com, it dealt with how the civil rights movement impacted African people around the world. I'm going to pull up this article here in just a minute. How's everybody doing? Okay, we've got Ruby. We've got, who else we have here? Marcel, John Ray. Visit workingwithjohnray.com, workingwithjohnray.com. John Ray's website. He has financial strategies to help you. We have True Drew here also. Okay. I want to go to this article here, How Steel Sharpens Steel. See if I can pull this up here. This is from AtlantaBlackStar.com. Should have it bookmarked. This is a deep article. I think everybody should check this out. Let me flip over to it just a second here. How Steel Sharpens Steel. The connection between the civil rights movement and African independent movements from April 3rd, 2016. How Steel Sharpened Steel. The connection between the civil rights movement and African independent movements, written by Jamal Bradley for AtlantaBlackStar.com. Okay, so read this article here. I don't have time to get deep into it, but it deals with Dr. W.B. Du Bois in Ghana. It talks about Dr. King and one of the most dynamic periods in African history was during the 1950s, when many African nations achieved independence from the European colonial powers. In 1957, Ghana gained its independence from Britain and was soon followed by 17 other African nations in 1960 and numerous others in the following years. Independence leaders such as Kwame Nkrumah, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Patrice Lumumba, Sekou Touré, and other figures were influential in developing the political and cultural structure to make independence a reality. Interestingly enough, one of the most dynamic periods in Black American history was the 1950s and 60s in what is commonly known as the Civil Rights era. During this time, African Americans began to further assert their rights, not just their American rights, but also human rights as citizens of the world. What should be known is that these two movements were not completely separated, nor were the ideas and strategies implemented independent of one another. By the 1950s, many Africans began to take advantage of the opportunity to study in the United States. And due to the racial nature of the American society during that era, most students attended historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs. As noted, Lincoln University boasts two African presence as alumni, and other HBCUs during that era had numerous students from across the African continent. The development and change which occurred in Africa and America were contemporary movements, and their collective success was viewed as such. Okay, the African leaders and people were very much influenced by their experiences in America at HBCUs and their time spent living, talking, and learning among African American activists and thinkers. Kwame Nkrumah was so much influenced by his time in America that he would name Ghana's football team the Black Stars after the shipping line company started by Marcus Garvey. Okay, read the rest of this article here. It's a fantastic article, fantastic history. fantastic history lesson, how steel sharpened steel, the connection between the civil rights movement and African independence movements. How steel sharpened steel. All right. Okay, let's continue. That's from AtlantaBlackStar.com. Okay, let's continue here. I want to go back to the article here from the BBC. If we look at this one here from the BBC once again. Okay, so the reception they received from their fellow British subject was frequently less than welcoming. Now, Guy Bailey recalls his shock not long after he first came to Bristol, England in 1961, when he was chased by gangs of teddy boys wielding bicycle chains, their blows landing on the back of his head as he ran away. And let me try to pull something up here. Let's continue. Okay, so God, for a young man raised in Jamaica by a fervently monarchist British Army veteran father, this went against everything he had been brought up to expect over the place he knew as the mother country. Okay, over the place he knew as the mother country. Now, Bristol was a very cold city, recalls Guy Bailey, of his early years in the UK, both in terms of the weather and the people. Fearful of physical attacks, the Black community was largely confined to the deprived St. Paul's area. The few boarding houses prepared to rent rooms to non-whites charged a premium. Some others displayed signs in the window reading "No Irish, no blacks, no dogs." Okay, the few boarding houses prepared to rent rooms to whites charged a premium. Then you had some that had signs. Some others displayed signs in the window reading "No Irish, no blacks, no dogs." Now, Roy Hackett, who immigrated to the UK in 1952, said you couldn't go into the pubs in Bristol on your own, not if you were black. You'd get a hiding. You had to go in 2 or 3 at a time. There were shops that would not serve us. 90% of us, if we had been able to go back, we would have. If I had 35 pounds, I would have done it. Okay, this is Roy and Enna Hackett on their wedding day. Now, Roy Hackett knew from bitter experience that the color bar existed in employment. When he went for one laboring job, he was told the company did not employ Africans. Roy Hackett protested indignantly that he was Jamaican. Indignantly that he was Jamaican. If he was going to be discriminated against, the least they could do was get his nationality right. Okay. Now, in 1962, his wife, Enna Hackett, applied for a job as a bus conductor. She was turned down despite meeting all the requirements of the post. Everyone assumed her color was the disqualifying factor. At the time, there was no Race Relations Act, and employers could not be prosecuted for discriminating on racist grounds. Newcomers from the Caribbean encountered prejudice when applying for work in other towns and cities too. All right, now check out the rest of this article here. What's behind the Bristol bus boycott? What's behind the Bristol bus boycott? This is from BBC.com, August 27, 2013, by John Kelly. And there's I'm going to pull up this picture here. This is a picture of Guy Bailey. But there's also an interview with Guy Bailey in here as well, in the article as well. I want to go to this interview with Guy Bailey. Guy Bailey recalls how in 1960s he was refused an interview for a job working on buses in Bristol because of the color of his skin. Okay, and here's a picture of Guy Bailey back from around 2013. All right, so that's Guy Bailey around 2013. So let me go to, I want to pull this other picture up here. All right. There's a picture of Guy Bailey in 1963 in the center. So I want to go to this interview here of him talking about the bus boycott and what happened. Let's go to this clip.
Guy Bailey was a dream candidate. He'd headed up his local boys' brigade and was a part-time student. He donned his smartest suit and went along for interview. Hello, Guy.
She said to the manager that 2 o'clock appointment is here, something to that effect, but he's black. And the manager said, tell him that we have no vacancies, all vacancies are filled. When the question was asked, the manager says we don't employ blacks.
All right, now I want to see if there's more to that interview. That's only 32 seconds. Let me see something here. All right, just stand by. They have some historical news clippings and things like that. Here, let's see here. Now, this is Roy Hackett speaking in about 2013 about the 1963 bus boycott.
What was it like? What were people's attitudes to you?
They were not welcoming. In the doors, there were placards in the door. No Irish, no gypsies, no black, no dogs.
Roy's then wife wanted to be a bus conductress. She went for an interview, but bosses at the Bristol Omnibus Company took one look at her and said the position had been filled. It was re-advertised the next day. Roy had a job at a construction firm and was a paying member of the Transport and General Workers Union, the very union that was upholding the colour bar.
At one hand, they were helping me to get into the union and the job. And on the other hand, my wife asked for a job and they stopped her getting the job. And that makes me very hungry.
All right, so that was Roy Hackett and talking about being discriminated against and his wife being discriminated against as well. Now also there's an article from blackpast.org as well about the Bristol bus boycott of 1963. So you can check this out also from blackpast.org. The Bristol bus boycott of 1963, very little known piece of history. On April 30th, 1963, Bristol's black population protested the Bristol Omnibus Company and the Transportation and General Workers Union, TGWU, protested their racist employment practices. By 1963, an estimated 6,000 black people lived in Bristol. Unlike the hiring and visibility of black bus crews in cities such as Bath and London, Bristol was slow to hire them. The Transportation and General Workers Union failure to address its discriminatory hiring policy also influenced a 1955 vote that prohibited black bus crews. Although blacks were part of the TGWU, they were primarily relegated to work in maintenance and the canteens. Moreover, by 1958, the black unemployment rate was twice the reported figure of white unemployment in Bristol. Now, Paul Stevenson was born in Essex, England, to West African and British parents, and the Royal Air Foreman explored exposing the omnibus company's discriminatory practices. Teaching night classes at the time and knowledgeable of the 1955 Montgomery Bus Boycott in the United States, Stevenson recruited one of his best pupils, 18-year-old Guy Bailey, and together decided to respond to a vacant bus conductor employment advertisement in the Bristol's Evening Post. At his interview, the bus manager told Guy Bailey, we do not hire black people. To confirm this, Paul Stevenson went to the company's general manager, Ian Patey, P-A-T-E-Y, Patey, who affirmed the omnibus company's practices. Roy Hackett, Owen Henry, Audley Evans, and Prince Brown formed the West Indian Development Council. The West Indian Development Council, a coalition to challenge and publicize the omnibus company's racist policy. On April 29, 1963, the coalition announced that no blacks would ride the bus the subsequent day. The April 30th bus boycott garnered national support and disapproval, and it ended up lasting 4 months. Okay. So you can read more about that here at blackpast.org, the Bristol Bus Boycott of 1963. And in this picture, you have Audley Evans, Paul Stevenson, and Owen Henry. Okay. Audley Evans, Paul Stevenson, Audley Evans, I guess, on the left, Paul Stevenson middle, and Owen Henry on the right. All right, so this is a little known piece of history. All right, hey, if you like this type of information, also you can support the African History Network. $, the AHN Show through Cash App, $, the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Be sure to register for the online course that I teach on Saturdays, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understand the transatlantic slave trade, where they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understand the transatlantic slave trade, where they didn't teach you in school. All right, so be sure to register for the 9-week online course that I teach on Saturdays, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, where they didn't teach you in school. It meets 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for 9 consecutive Saturdays. And next class is Saturday, May 15th. And we deal with thousands of years of history and what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. As soon as you register, you can watch last Saturday's class. We do the classes live, but all the sessions are recorded, so you can go back and watch them over and over again. Okay, so you don't have to worry about missing anything. And then as soon as you register, you can also watch the course that I did in February and March of 2021. That's archived there as well. All right, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent. African-American business owners, email us at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, or TheAHNshow@gmail.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Remember, right now is correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace.
Black Bees products are a collection of natural, organic, personal care products with an appreciation of nature and bees. Our philosophy is without bees, we have nothing. We are honoring our Nile Valley ancestors who understood the importance of bees. Black Bees created a high-quality, natural, organic personal care line that would be affordable to everyone. We hope you try and enjoy our Black Bees products line and come back and visit us at blackbeesproducts.com.
Digital Dandelion's Technical Solutions works with businesses like yours to create an operations manual for your business, which is something many businesses don't have. According to AARP, more than 30% of small business owners are over 50 years old. Many business owners want to retire by selling their businesses or by passing their businesses on to their children. However, according to Forbes Investment Advisors, many retiring owners' attempts to sell their businesses for retirement fail. You cannot sell your business without a business manual. Your children also cannot inherit your business because there is no way to run it. Your business does not have to die when you leave. Their business Bible products will give you the tools you need for a thriving business that can make you money even after you retire. Are you looking at increasing your business's annual revenue? Digital Dandelions can help you make at least $100,000 in annual revenue and expand your business. Speak with them today about solidifying your business. Visit digitaldandelions.com today and get a free 30-minute consultation. With blackbusinesstee.com, the messages are clear and meaningful. Keep your business in the black and out of the red. Mind your black business. Know your numbers and plan strategically. Black Business Boss, lead your industry. Support black business. Encourage, patronize, and uplift one another. BlackBusinessTea.com currently has products sold in Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, with proceeds returned to the black community. They have a wide selection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats, sweatshirts that support black-owned businesses. Visit the website blackbusinesstee.com. That's blackbusinesstee.com. For 25 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid El Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, and he is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social studies, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the change makers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. For more information, please contact Dr. Khalid Al Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197, or visit their website at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. That's blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. You can also email him at bhistory101@yahoo.com, bhistory101@yahoo.com.